6 boys, 1 broken boat, 15 months on a deserted island, no food, no adults, no way home. What should have been a nightmare became one of the greatest survival stories ever told. In this video, you'll discover how 6 teenagers turned an empty island into their home, building shelter, finding food, and proving that even in the harshest conditions, teamwork can mean the difference between life and death. Their names were Sione, Stephen, Kolo, David, Luke, and Mano. 6 schoolboys from Tonga, aged just 13 to 16. Life in their small island community was strict, especially at their Catholic boarding school, where discipline was harsh and freedom was rare. Restless, rebellious, and craving adventure, they decided one night in 1965 to borrow a fishing boat and escape their routine. What started as a youthful act of defiance soon spiraled into one of the most extraordinary survival stories in history. The boys slipped away under the moonlight, carrying only a few bananas, a small gas burner, and no compass. But soon a storm struck. Fierce winds shredded their sail, smashed their rudder, and dragged them hundreds of miles off course. For 8 long days they drifted at sea, living on raw fish, sips of rainwater, and sheer willpower. Finally, on the 9th day, salvation appeared. The jagged outline of Atta Island, an uninhabited rock rising from the ocean. This would become their home for the next 15 months. In Tonga, discipline and respect were drilled into children from a young age, especially in the 1960s. These boys carried that spirit with them. Yet they were not all the same. Sione was the prankster, quick with a joke even in dark times. Kolo, sharp-minded, became the group's problem solver. Stephen, thoughtful and calm, often mediated when tempers flared. David was practical, always focused on survival tasks. Luke's creativity helped invent tools out of scraps. And Mano, steady and responsible, naturally emerged as the leader, the one who made sure no one gave up. Together, their mix of personalities and their Tongan upbringing of community and cooperation transformed a nightmare into one of the greatest survival stories ever told. Unlike the chaos of Lord of the Flies, these boys chose unity over division. On that lonely island, they became a family. They built huts from palm leaves to shield each other from storms, planted a garden to feed their hungry stomachs, and even created a gym and a small badminton court. Because staying strong gave them hope. They learned to catch fish with sharpened sticks, stored rainwater in hollow tree trunks, and after weeks of trying, managed to spark a fire. That fire wasn't just warmth, it was a reminder that they were alive, that tomorrow was worth fighting for. But survival tested their hearts as much as their bodies. One boy broke his leg falling from a cliff. Instead of panic, the others carried him, cared for him, and used herbal remedies to heal him. Day after day, they proved that no one would be left behind. When arguments broke out, as they always do among brothers, they made a rule. Walk to opposite ends of the island, cool off, then return with an apology. Forgiveness became their survival tool. At night, under the stars, they built a guitar from driftwood and coconut shells. They sang together, their voices carrying across the waves, reminding themselves that even in the darkest place, joy could still exist. After 15 long months, salvation came. A fisherman named Peter Warner was sailing nearby when he noticed strange patches of burned grass on the cliffs of Atta. Smoke signals, he thought. Steering closer, he saw something even stranger. 6 lean but healthy boys running toward the shore, their voices rising above the waves. "We are from Tonga." At first, Warner laughed, certain it was a prank. But as he stepped ashore and listened, his disbelief turned into awe. These weren't castaways clinging to survival. These were young men who had built a life. The boys showed him their huts, their garden, and even the guitar they had crafted from driftwood, coconut shells, and bits of wire. They told him how they prayed together each morning, sang in harmony at night, and forgave each other whenever tempers flared. What Warner found wasn't a tale of despair. It was a story of discipline, faith, and brotherhood. On a barren island, they had created a home. When the boys finally returned home, their families wept with joy. Mothers clutched their sons as if they would never let go again. And fathers, usually stern, cried openly. The entire village came out to greet them. Drums beat, prayers were said, and church bells rang for their safe return. For the Tongans, family and faith are everything, and to see 6 boys thought lost to the sea come home alive felt nothing short of a miracle. But joy soon turned to unease. The truth came out. They had stolen the boat that carried them away. In Tonga, respect for elders and obedience to authority are sacred values, and the school was ready to make an example of them. Punishment seemed inevitable. That's when Peter Warner stepped in. He argued that these boys had proven themselves in ways no classroom could teach: leadership, teamwork, resilience. Warner struck a deal with the school and their families. He would hire the boys as crew on his ship, giving them honest work, responsibility, and a future at sea. Instead of being branded as troublemakers, the 6 boys became sailors, their survival story turning from shame into pride. Life after rescue was not always simple. Some of the boys wrestled with the lingering trauma of hunger, storms, and isolation. But instead of fading into silence, their story became a beacon. Decades later, writers and historians would call it the real Lord of the Flies. In William Golding's famous novel, stranded boys descend into violence and chaos. But these 6 teenagers proved the opposite, that with cooperation, discipline, and faith, even children could build a world based on hope and respect. Their survival wasn't just about finding food or water. It was about proving that humanity thrives when people care for one another. Peter Warner and the boys remained close for years, their friendship forged in fire and hardship. And today their legacy lives on, not as a tale of despair, but as one of resilience, unity, and the enduring strength of community. So let me ask you, if you were stranded at sea for 133 days, would you fight like them, or would you give up long before rescue came? This story proves something powerful. Survival isn't just about strength. It's about unity, kindness, and never losing hope. These 6 boys showed the world that even in the darkest times, compassion and teamwork can light the way. But here's the real question. If you were stranded on an island, do you think you'd work together like these boys did, or would it all fall apart? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. And if this story inspired you, give it a like, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible survival stories.
Thank you for watching. If this video didn't waste your valuable time or added any value to your life, even just a little, please consider subscribing to Hello Stories. Until next time, goodbye, warriors.